I mean, I don't think I'd ever played in front of more than a couple hundred people at that point. I mean, I'd played in junior college and played for a good summer league team that had some people come out, but to be in a real stadium with people watching it just made it 10 times better. And, especially being around the teammates that I was around, it was a good experience.
You're listening to the Show We Go Baseball podcast.
All right, guys, welcome back into another episode of To the Show We Go Baseball podcast. Today's episode, we have a Red Sox minor league pitcher, Austin Ehrlicher, joining us today. He actually kind of had like a unique story because he was part of the 2022 draft class, but was kind of like a interesting draft and follow type example. So I'm sure we'll get into that as well because I do have a question later on kind of the process through that whole journey. But Austin, we appreciate you hopping on with us today. And I'm going to start us off with a little layup here. I know obviously you're back in California right now. You're kind of working out, you're training. How has your official off season been since it started?
It's been good. I think it's definitely been a necessary time for me to kind of reset and get back and just get ready to go next year. I've been hurt for too long, so I'll be good to go next year. So it's been going good.
Now, was that layup, was that line a reference to Austin's basketball background?
Possibly.
I figured.
Yeah, I'm just reading through some of your career notes. You were both a basketball and baseball player, and you were going to give up baseball to focus on basketball. Like, what happened? What made you change your mind?
Yeah. Crazy story. So, started when COVID happened, my junior year of high school. Up until that point, I'd been a good baseball player, but I was like 82, 83 on the mound junior year. I was a good hitter, but I wasn't starting on varsity in high school as a junior. I was barely on the team as a sophomore. So, COVID happened, and then they kind of canceled everything. And then a couple months later, I found out that when we go back my senior spring, the baseball and basketball season were going to be at the same time. So at that time, I was like, all right, I'm just going to text everyone. I'm hanging them up and focusing on basketball, and that's what I did. And focused on basketball, kind of transformed my body. A lot of plyometrics, started jumping higher, got way more explosive. And my senior year, my high school coach called me up and was like, hey, I heard you're not playing this year. He was like, I really think you should come out. I was like, all right. I mean, told him my situation would be playing basketball and baseball at the same time. And he was like, fine, you don't have to be at all the practices. Just I think you should come out. And so I came out and ended up playing basketball and baseball at the same time in high school. I mean, I would go. There was one game where I pitched, I hit, and then I went over for the fourth quarter of my high school basketball game. So that would be my crazy story from that time. But the training that I did for basketball ended up translating to baseball because my first game back, through like 5 innings, 1 hit, there's a bunch of strikeouts, and the guy came back to me and was like, yeah, you hit 91, right? I was like, no, never thrown that hard before. He was like, no, you hit it multiple times. I was like, oh. So then I was like, I just had a lot of fun playing. I think that was what changed. I was having so much fun hitting, pitching, going to basketball. That just really showed up on the field, and then got the call from San Francisco Junior College and was like, I think we want you to come out, and ended up playing basketball and baseball in college too. So that was kind of how that went.
Yeah, that's so much though too. So like one sport is so much. It's so time consuming. Did you have time for anything outside of basketball and baseball while you were playing?
No, college was crazier. I mean, because baseball is fall too, so I would be going middle of practice, going over to basketball practice, and my college practices were no joke. They're not like high school. So I'm exhausted every day from, I mean, literally 7:30 to 10 at night. Some days I'm going. So that was by far the hardest thing I've ever had to do. But it was good. I had a lot of fun doing it. So.
Now you grew up in Santa Rosa, right?
Yeah.
So are you a Warriors fan, or what were your teams growing up?
Huge Warriors fan for sure. Definitely a Giants fan as well. But yeah, grew up watching those two teams, and still definitely a big fan of the Warriors.
Was after you kind of got out to Fort Myers, like after signing with the Red Sox, was that one of your first times you'd ever been to the East Coast?
That was the first time I've been to Florida. I went to Boston and New York a few times when I was like pretty young, like 11, 12. I think when I was in 8th grade, I went for a trip to Boston and New York. Actually got to tour Fenway. But yeah, first time I went to Fort Myers was the first time I've been to Florida. So a lot different than California for sure.
Yeah, your draft story was pretty interesting, just as far as the Red Sox took you in the 18th round, but it was kind of like you didn't immediately report to the team. It was like a draft and follow situation.
Yep.
How did they explain that to you? Like, what was the conversation like after you signed?
Well, I didn't. After the second day, I was kind of thought. I mean, I kind of told them that I was going to go back and play the JC, and then was on my phone the third day and got some Twitter notifications that I got picked, and called me after and was like, "Hey, we picked you," and I was like, "All right." And then they kind of explained the draft and follow thing, and there wasn't too much conversation. It was kind of a straightforward process. It's not as straightforward for me to explain to people, but yeah, I'm interesting, but I'm glad it worked out that way, because in the end it was, I was able to sign early once I was hurt, so it ended up being a good thing.
Now you kind of brought it up at the beginning of the show, and you're kind of saying, obviously, like you haven't pitched as much as you would have liked the last 2 years, obviously with some injuries that came up. And I think a big part of it too, with I know we had Taylor Broadway on this show a few months back, just kind of checking in with him during his rehab, see how he's doing. And I think people underestimate the mental side of things with the toll it can take on a guy that can't do his job because he physically can't do it. How has that been for you? And what kind of things have you what kind of things have you put in place to help you over that mental battle of like, hey, I really want to be out there. I really want to be slinging it right now, but I just can't.
Yeah, it was brutal. There's no other way to put it. I had never been hurt before this. I mean, some ankle sprains and, my arm hurts, but still out there pitching. So it was really hard, and wasn't a straightforward, your elbow's injured, we need to heal it and get back. It kind of eventually turned into a few different things. So, just relying on the training staff and the people around me. Like Broadway, there's other rehab guys there, so I got to know a lot of them. Doing things on my own to keep myself busy, calling my family and girlfriend, all that. So it's realize how much you miss it when you're not able to play, and that's why I enjoyed it so much when I was in Salem, just being able to play and playing real games. So yeah, it takes a toll on you mentally for sure, and it's pretty tough, but makes you miss it even more and cherish it when you're out there playing. So
going back a little bit, what's your family like? Do you have a big family? Are they sports people?
Yeah, I got a big family, and they're all here. I got a lot of cousins, grandparents, and so they were all growing up going to my games, taking me to my games. Same, me and my dad are probably the biggest sports fans, but they all enjoy sports, watch baseball, Warriors games, all that. So
what do they think of you as a professional athlete? Because I feel like I know with my family, at least, it's like, oh great, all the kids play sports growing up, but none of them are going to make this their living. None of them are going to do this professionally. And then you're getting drafted. You're potentially a two-sport college player. Like it's a lot. It's a lot. What do they think of you pursuing this?
I mean, they love it. Obviously, they see how much I enjoy the game and being around the game, being around the guys. But it happened fast. I mean, it went from like when I quit baseball, it was like, I'm going to the JC to play basketball, try to go play Division I basketball after that, and it's still pretty far away. But once I got to the JC, it all happened really fast, all the draft stuff. So, like my dad definitely was overwhelmed when it was all happening too, and trying to help me. But obviously they love it and want the best for me, so they're excited and always want to watch me play.
Now, was your dad an athlete also?
He was a basketball player at the same junior college.
Gotcha. What does he do now?
He runs a mortgage company.
Wait, I was gonna follow up on that, Ed, because speaking of athletes here, I know that there was some leagues going on with the injured boys down in the Fort.
Yeah.
Were you successful at the opposite-handed bowling or mini golf? Or because Zach Bryant kind of tooted his own horn that he was the guy in all of those. So I'm curious what your thoughts were on it.
I caught the end of the mini golf. It was the championship, so I wasn't really in it. I had some good rounds, but bowling, man, left-handed bowling is not my thing. I survived. I had a few good rounds, but it was not my thing. But it is Michael Fulmer's thing for sure. He came out there first time left-handed bowling 200s.
Oh,
geez. So I did it with him for a few weeks, and then they all got really into it. And they were starting to get their own balls, going twice a week. I think Fulmer and Broadway did some tournaments, so they were into it. They were a lot better than me, but
that's a pretty big name there, Fulmer. What was it like getting to? Because he was, what was it, the 2014 Rookie of the Year? This is a guy that's pitched at the highest level, and now he's kind of in the same spot as you, just like repairing. What was it like getting to, I guess, be like a colleague with somebody that's, that has made it to where you at some point would like to be?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I think I tell a lot of people that if you're in a weight room, you can tell the difference between a big leaguer and not. And that's the case with him, just the way he talks, works, especially when he's playing catch. It's just, it's just a different vibe that you get from him that is good to be around, because that's how you want to be. So getting to know him a little bit was great, and just being around him and seeing him every day, seeing him start to throw, it was good to see, because he's been a big leader for a long time, so to be around that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was always cool to hear the stories. A couple years back when Zach Kelly was rehabbing through his injuries, and I was hearing all the minor league guys kind of say how much that the time with him meant, is with him just being a wealth of knowledge for them, and just being like, okay, like here's, if you're struggling with something, or if you just want to run something by me, I'm all ears. And I know with that group down there with Fulmer, like you just said, and Chris Murphy and a few other guys that have gotten to the big leagues, like, was there ever any times where they kind of like maybe gave you guys any advice or anything to maybe get through some of the hurdles?
Yeah, a little bit. I think it was more, like I said, just watching how they did it, kind of leading by example. You kind of hear a few things here and there. But I think, again, just like watching how they go about it, and they're down there for longer than, a little bit longer than I was. So to see them go about it the way they did, that spoke more to me than the things that they necessarily told me. But yeah, both getting to talk to them and watching them go through it was cool.
So you skip the FCL, like they didn't really have you throwing there at all, but then you get called up to Salem, and it was a small sample size, but you struck out a lot of guys. You struck out, I'm just looking at this. Yeah, it was 10 guys in 6 innings. You got into 2 games. What was because I'm sure you had been thinking about this for a long time. You were drafted to 2022. This happens 2024. So like 2 years later, how did the actual experience of pitching professionally compared to your expectations of it, like going through the whole rehab process?
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, you obviously hear the stories of playing in the minor leagues, and I think the guys who love the game that much, that part doesn't really matter. They're just out there playing. So I mean, it was awesome. Like I said, just being out there. I mean, I don't think I'd ever played in front of more than a couple hundred people at that point. I mean, I'd played in junior college and played for a good summer league team that had some people come out, but to be in a real stadium with people watching, it just made it 10 times better. And especially being around the teammates that I was around, it was a good experience.
Now, what were your initial thoughts on Salem? I'm curious because I know you're a California guy, so yeah. Getting thrown out to Salem, Virginia is a little bit of probably a culture shock. It's a little different way of life out there. So, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I had heard a lot about Salem, so I mean, I wasn't expecting anything less than what I got. But I mean, it's not as bad as people might think. I mean, we got lucky. We got nice apartments, and you're at the field all day, just there to play baseball. So, good city or not, it doesn't matter too much to me. It's just we're at the field all day, so that's what we focus on. But definitely different than California, I'll tell you that.
And I will tell you this, though, High A, where Greenville is, fantastic city and ballpark. So
yeah,
I've heard nothing but every player that's gone through there that we've talked to loves Greenville. And obviously Portland and Worcester are very close to Boston. So the fans they draw like crazy. So go ahead, Ed.
As a pitcher, Salem is a pretty big stadium. You don't see a lot of people hitting home runs there.
Yeah.
Does that make a difference for you? Like, would you rather pitch in a stadium like that, or would you rather pitch somewhere like Greenville where park might not be as big and spacious, but it's a nicer city?
I think not giving up any homers is a little bit nicer. So, yeah, you always have that in your back pocket is good. Yeah, it is definitely a pitcher's park. So gives you a little bit more confidence, but it's not something you can really think about because you go to a different city the next week and it's not a pitcher's park. So you pitch the same way every time, but it is nice having those big walls out there.
Yeah. Now, I'm curious. We've heard a lot in the last couple seasons just about driveline and like the pitching science that's entered the Red Sox organization. But since you're rehabbing an injury and really just trying to get back there on the field, is that something that you're talking about, like developing another pitch or adding velocity or anything like that? Or is it more just let's get you on the field first and then figure it out from there?
I need to get on the field first and then
yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. I was just curious.
It's definitely a conversation though. Cause I mean, been injured for a while. So there are things mechanically and pitch wise that are going to have to make some adjustments. So it's definitely something that they're good at and take a lot of time doing. So when I get back there, it'll definitely be a topic of conversation. And it definitely was when I got to spring training and kind of got ramped up, working on the sweeper, change up, fastball. I mean, I had never had a track man. I mean, I'd really had a velocity when I'm throwing at the JC. So it's having all that. I kind of let them handle it, to be honest. I don't understand a lot of it, but they do a good job of like telling us, especially the pitching side of it, like what to throw in games. It's a lot of data, but they make it simple, and I just love that they want us to throw your best stuff in the zone. So that's what I take out of it.
What's your best stuff?
For me, this year is definitely my slider. But they just preach throw it in the zone, make them do the work, and it definitely works. I think people get too fixed on trying to be too perfect and throw it down the middle. You're not going to hit it every time. So I think letting your stuff work and more trust you have in yourself, the better it is. So for them to tell us that too, have more trust in ourselves, and it definitely helps.
Is the sweeper a newer pitch for you? Like, is that something that once you kind of turned pro, that you've started to develop, or are there any pitches like that for you that you've added since you have turned pro?
Yeah, sweeper was new. In college, I was more curveball, changeup, fastball. I think at the end of my sophomore year at junior college, I added a slider, and then it kind of turned into a sweeper, which wasn't a great thing because that's not what I wanted, but it kind of morphed into being a really good pitch for me. So right now it's just fastball, changeup, sweeper, and sure we'll add some things, but honing in on those 3 pitches I think would be good for me. But it is a new pitch, and I really like it. So
I did have a question for going into this offseason. Obviously, you were, going through a little bit of a rehab process this year. I'm not sure, and you don't have to answer the question, but going into spring training and all that, I'm sure you're heading back to the fort probably January-ish, if I had to guess.
yeah, I don't know exactly. I did last year. I know they had like 4 or 5 dates. It should be around there though. I think is what they said.
Are you like ramping back up yet to where you're going to be going through like a healthy spring training?
Oh yeah, yep. I'll be ready.
Okay, and what does that would this be your first one that you would be like considered fully healthy in your pro career?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was tough because I don't think the people in the Red Sox organization have seen me fully healthy in pro ball. Even though I was pitching good, and I was feeling good enough to throw, and I was pitching well, but I've not been healthy, and I think it'll be pretty obvious when I am healthy. So I'm excited for it. So yeah, I'm thinking this will be the first one where I'm fully healthy, and I can confidently say that.
Yeah. Apologies for visiting because I'm sure it was not your favorite thing to talk about. But what happened with the injury? Like, was it something that happened in one moment, or was it a gradual? Oh well, wow, this is hurting, and I should probably get this checked out. Like what? Like how did that happen?
I mean, I could kind of feel. I think once we got the elbow fine, it was fine, but then it kind of turned into a little bit of a shoulder thing, and I could feel the strength go away a little bit in Salem, my second start. Then we were warming up dynamic the next week after I pitched in at Delmarva, and just messed around with my shoulder and kind of caught a little bit, and was having trouble moving it the next few days. So it ended up being kind of shouldered, a little bit of nerve stuff. So I think, unfortunately, it was multiple things, and part of the equation with healing that is time. So obviously not what I wanted, but I think I did a good job trying to get back. And now that I have the time to really hone in on what I need to work on in the off season, I'll be good to go. But yeah, it turned into a shoulder, then a little bit of nerves, kind of around it, and then feeling better now. But that's what happened.
So I see in your last season at Santa Rosa that you had started some games, and you also came out of the bullpen in a few. And obviously, the 2 games you appeared in were out of the bullpen for Salem this past year. But where do you feel more comfortable? Like, where do you view yourself kind of being the strongest? I guess is it a little bit of both, or like, are you comfortable with both?
Yeah, I think I'm more comfortable starting. I like the routine of it, but the plan was to kind of go back and forth between starting and not starting. In Salem, I was going to go like 3-3 with Cohen, so I didn't even end up getting the chance to start. But I think actually learning how to prepare for both is really good for me, because I'm not going to be able to control where I'm at all the time. So learning my routine for both starting and coming out of the bullpen and maybe even closing is good for me. So definitely pitched the most starting, but I think learning some new stuff, and I love to start, but wherever they put me, I'll be prepared.
All right, Ed, I have a couple quick fire questions, but if you got some more stuff, this is your time.
I mean, I got some quick fire questions too. We can just take turns. You go one, I go one.
I like it.
I go one.
I actually like that a lot.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. So Austin, we want to know you a little bit off the field, maybe just like what you like to do in your free time. So Ed, I'm sorry if I take yours and vice versa.
Yeah, that's fine.
We'll adapt on the fly. Austin,
Yeah.
what do you like to do when you have a day off and you have a bunch of free time? What are you doing with that free time?
If I can, definitely like golfing. Definitely like being out there. I'll definitely shoot around the backyard a little bit. Not playing, but I'm just shooting around. I like to, move athletically still, but golfing and shooting around, being active. And I got some like golf simulator in the garage now, but I can't swing lefty, so I'm hitting it righty now. So I'm golfing both ways. So that's what I've been doing in my free time.
What are you like? What are you shooting opposite handed?
I haven't taken it to the course yet.
Okay.
On the simulator on the practice range, but it's pretty good. It's getting there.
Impressive.
Yeah, it's getting there.
All right. What's I don't know much about golf, unfortunately, but do you like movies at all, Austin?
I do. I think I'm more of a show guy, to be honest.
Okay. What shows are you watching right now, if anything, and what is your all-time favorite?
All-time favorite. I always like. I don't know if I have one all-time favorite specifically. I always like the documentaries on athletes. I love the Conor McGregor show. I just watched Starting Five. The one on the wide receivers, QBs, things like that are pretty much what I'm watching.
I will say, we asked this question to a lot of people last year, like the show, like what show are they watching? I feel like 80% of the guys said Suits.
Suits, yeah.
I feel like it's a big minor league baseball player show.
Yeah, I haven't watched it. I know a lot of people watch it. I think my dad has watched it actually, but I haven't gotten into it.
Yeah, I don't think I ever did either. All right, I know you said you're more of a TV show guy, but there's got to be one movie that you're like, you know what? If I'm trying to like have a good day or a good night and I just got time, I don't want to watch a TV show. What movie are you putting on?
Oh, I can't even think of the last time I watched a movie.
That's impressive.
I know. I'm watching sports and shows. I'm trying to think of the last movie I watched. I honestly don't know. I know growing up it was a lot of the baseball movies. Thunderstruck, the basketball movie was a huge one as a kid. I don't know if you know that one. That was probably my favorite. It was the one with like Kevin Durant and
I remember when that came out.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite movie as a kid. But I honestly don't watch movies. But as a kid, that was probably my favorite one.
So keeping this on basketball, baseball, growing up, who was your favorite player each sport?
Definitely Steph, basketball. I was a big Kobe fan when I was really young. And then started to become more of a Warriors fan. So big Steph fan. Baseball, a lot of Tim Lincecum.
Oh yeah.
Watch. DeGrom was really fun to watch. Still is fun to watch. Those are probably my two guys.
How old were you during the because the Giants had that period where it was like every other year they were winning the World Series. Did you get to experience any of those?
I was there. I can't remember if I went to one or two of them. I think I went to two of them. One of them
like the games, the parades, like
two games. Yeah. I think it was 2014 and maybe one of the other years. But we sat like on the top thing of the right field hole. That was pretty cool to be at. Yeah, I think that was the only one I went to. But yeah, it was pretty cool. It was a good time to be a Giants fan.
Yeah, seriously. Between that and the Warriors, like you had a really nice run there.
I was going to Warriors games too. We got spoiled.
I'm about to set you up for failure with this question, this follow-up question to that. You grew up a Giants fan, but you're a member of the Red Sox organization. So who are you rooting for in the World Series?
Oh, the Red Sox.
The current World Series, though, the Yankees or Dodgers.
Oh, I thought you meant. Oh, yeah. I just want a good game.
Yeah, it's tough, right? Grow up a Giants fan.
Saying if they play together. I'm looking for a good game. Probably one of the craziest I've ever seen, though, with the walk-off. So that was crazy.
Yeah, I still the Freeman walk-off there was still one of the. And I saw somewhere that it happened. It wasn't like the same to like the day, but it was the same time. It was like 8:37 when Kirk Gibson hit the home run, and it was 8:37 when Freddie Freeman hit it.
Yeah, that was crazy.
All right, this is a completely random question, but I actually was asked this the other day, and I feel like I got to start asking it on these podcast interviews because it put my mind in an absolute pretzel. So I got to ask the question that you got three of your fingers on your hand can dispense a sauce for the rest of your life, but you can only have those three sauces for the rest of your life. What are they going to be?
Is this a Zaxby's question? Like, what? Where did you get this from?
It's a valid question.
I'm going cane sauce for sure. A good buffalo sauce and a good ketchup.
Ooh, okay. So hear me out, though. So you're never going to have barbecue sauce ever again in your life?
I'm not like the biggest. I mean, I am. But like, yeah, it's tough. That is tough.
You mix the buffalo sauce with the ketchup. That's kind of a little bit like you can. There's more variety there. Like barbecue sauce is just fancy ketchup.
What about the ranch?
I'm not a huge ranch guy, to be honest. I like ranch. No, I like ranch. Like I'll put that on my wings, but I'm not dipping everything in ranch.
Okay.
There's times I do.
It's a great question. Like I feel like there's there's some kind of a Rorschach test to someone's personality based on what they answer that. I have no idea what it is, but that's good. That's a good one. I don't have any that are that exoteric. Anyway.
I have a couple more before we let you slide out of here. Obviously, Ed, I was probably gonna. What are your thoughts on the rivalry? Obviously, you're a California guy, and I feel like this came up so much because you obviously know there's a lot of Texas guys in the Red Sox system, a lot of California guys. You mentioned CT before we came on the air. Is the rivalry, the in and out and like Whataburger thing, like a real thing? Like, do people care about that still?
I don't think so, and I've never been to Whataburger. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
I can't even compare. And I like In-N-Out, but it's not my go-to for sure. I know people who have never had it. Like, it's good. Don't get me wrong, but it's not my go-to. And I've never been to Whataburger, so.
Okay. I just tried it for the first time a couple weeks ago, so I just had to ask. What's your like pregame snack? Like, what are you eating like before you go out and pitch?
Usually something light. Like I'll have a good meal, whatever they give us. Something a little bit heavier earlier in the day. I don't like being on a full stomach though. So something electrolytes, small stack, beef steak, some of the gummy things they got for us, but usually light right before the game and something bigger before a couple hours before.
Okay. Final question for you. What are your thoughts on a fast food chain called Zaxby's?
First time I went there was when it was like a couple days after I got to Fort Myers first time, and it was good. I was a little disappointed. I was comparing it to Cane's. I like Cane's a lot. I'd say for me it would be a little bit below Cane's.
Is Cane's your number one? Because we did this last season where Parker would ask, "What's your favorite fried chicken place?" And inevitably he would be disappointed because only like 3 people answered Zaxby's.
Yeah,
I'm tracking it this year. I want to get actual numbers for what people say. So would you say Cane's is your answer for that?
I think so. I can tell you're a big Zaxby's guy. So
me, I've never been
No.
to Zaxby's. I've just
No,
heard him
he's
talk
talking about
about
me.
it.
Yeah.
Well, he kind of gave it away because he said one of the sauces in his fingers would be cane sauce, which I love cane sauce, but Zach sauce is just a little better. But I agree.
I do like their sauce actually. That is good.
All right, fair. All right. Well, Ed, I was thinking about retiring that question because I thought you were getting sick of it. But if you're tracking,
I will
it this year,
never
I guess
get
I gotta
sick of
keep doing
it. Mostly because I just enjoy seeing your reaction to them not saying Zaxby's. It's different every time, and and then like when someone like Blaze Jordan is like, "Oh no, it's Zaxby's," like it's just unbridled joy. It's a delight. So I can't retire that one. Can't
All
retire
right,
that
fair.
one.
I got Alex Bouchard, big Zaxby's guy. I know he's down in the Hurt group. He actually texted me that he got Zaxby's on Saturday. So I'm like, hell yeah, like that's my guy.
I'm counting him as part of this season, so it's Zaxby's 1, Canes 1 right now.
Shea Sprague was Chick-fil-A.
What was that?
Shea Sprague was Chick-fil-A.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'm adding
Can't
that
trust
to
that
it,
guy.
too. No, this is like this. I'm going to be obsessive with this. There's going to be some weird statistical analysis at the end of the year. It's going to be great.
All right, fair. Well, Ed, Austin, we appreciate the time you coming on, and obviously looking forward to seeing you in spring training. You know, coming back healthy. We're definitely looking forward to it. But thank you for hopping on.
Of course, thanks for having me.